How does it feel after 11 books, correct me if I'm wrong,
14
books,
11 novels.
and those compliments are daily? How does it feel?
It feels surreal.
My question is, I want to get to this part. How do you have so many imaginations about love?
Iya ya, kalau dipikir ya. I'm single.
I don't see that people find the joy in reading anymore. What's wrong?
I still find the joy in reading, so it's difficult for me to answer. But I guess
Forget that you're a writer for a bit. Because I want to talk to Ika Natasa, the banker. What's happening, Ika Natasa, with this economy and how you see it?
people rarely ask me that, to be honest.
I know. Peran perempuan di dunia sastra Indonesia seperti apa, Kak Ika?
Welcome to the Friday Podcast, a melting pot of all ideas and stories. Whether it's the resilience behind a punchline, the humanity behind a policy, or the spark that fuels a masterpiece. In our studio, we pull back the curtain and explore the other side of every story. Because here at the Friday Podcast, we talk, you listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, E.S. Lawrence. Welcome to the Friday Podcast. Sebuah episode yang jarang-jarang karena akhirnya ada seorang penulis. Tapi I know if it has to be a writer, it has to be Ika Natasa.
Thank you.
Because she's the writer of my generation, maybe your generation, maybe even more generations. Because that's the beauty of a book. That's the beauty of writing. It's timeless. Ika Natasa, before I thank you for being here, thank you for being a writer, and thank you for doing what you do. Let's start the podcast.
Thank you.
And forget that you're a writer for a bit.
Okay.
Forget that you're a writer for
I
a bit.
can do that.
You can do that.
I can do that.
Because I want to talk to Ika Natasa, the banker.
Oh, okay.
Can you do that?
I can do that.
Okay. Beberapa kali di podcast ini, terutama di luar podcast bahkan,
Iya.
obrolan yang paling sering didengar adalah how are you doing gitu. In this economy terutama gitu. When I did my research about you gitu, your role dulu di Bank Mandiri was a role that is very fundamental apalagi di situasi sekarang. So I want to know your opinion, and I think you're the right person to
Wow,
ask.
this is hard.
Can we open up that way? Can we open the podcast that way? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Gimana? So what is happening? Let's do a 101 first gitu. What's happening, Ika Natasa, with this economy and how you see it?
People rarely ask me that, to be honest.
I know. I'm sorry. I know you're not prepared for this, and it's a podcast, so take your time.
Tapi yang aku rasakan adalah time is challenging for sure.
Yeah. Or sorry, we can start this. Karena banyak yang nggak tahu juga. What was your role dulu?
Aku udah 23 tahun ya di Bank Mandiri. Ini tahun ke-23.
Yeah.
I used to be a relationship manager in commercial banking.
Yeah.
So aku ngasih financing ke perusahaan-perusahaan.
Yeah.
And then kalau sekarang aku tuh di regional chief financial.
Yeah.
Sort of the regional CFO type of stuff. So finance stuff. Yang mana sangat bertolak belakang dengan fiksiku gitu.
Pasti.
Tapi I'm enjoying the role obviously. You won't do something for 23 years if you're not enjoying it. Yang aku suka adalah bahwa aku jadi sangat dekat dengan apapun yang terjadi sekarang gitu.
Oke.
Terus bisa memahami bahwa oh ternyata keadaan ekonomi kita ini begini, tapi we always see things not as a problem, but as a challenge.
Yeah, that's one way to see it. Yeah.
As a challenge gitu. Maksudnya we survived COVID.
Of course.
That was unprecedented. Nggak ada yang pernah tahu bahwa kita akan seperti apa. But we survived that. Kenapa? Karena memang sebagai banker kita dituntut untuk punya agility kan. Agility untuk melihat situasi, agility untuk melihat tren gitu ya. Dan yang aku lihat sekarang adalah like I said, it's a challenging time, but it doesn't mean that the business is not going well.
Okay.
Gitu.
So I don't know from this, karena I've been talking to a few people gitu, dan banyak yang bilang bahwa it's even harder than COVID. Karena during COVID bisa nyari celah. Sekarang it's like everything's okay, but demand is low, spending is low gitu.
Yes.
So what is this a long-term thing? I know we don't want to talk about economics for quite a long time, but I think it's just a very interesting topic to start the way, you know. So how do you see it? Apakah ini sesuatu yang concerning atau enggak gitu?
Agak susah jawabnya ya. Agak susah jawabnya without sounding too political atau too
I know.
Tapi do we worry? Yes.
Yeah.
But do we see it as the end? No.
Okay.
We see it as an entrance into a new phase that we have to get used to gitu. New phase-nya mungkin kita tidak akan melihat growth yang sekencang sebelumnya.
Yeah.
Tapi we see opportunities lying ahead gitu. Opportunities-nya ada dan itu yang bikin kita di bank juga there are concerns, but it doesn't mean that we're in red flag. No, kita nggak di DEFCON sekian gitu. Tapi but we see that kayak UMKM itu masih hidup. Dan masih banyak yang thriving gitu. We just need to see where the potentials lie dan di mana kita bisa bantu buat tumbuh. Dan kemudian juga untuk yang saat ini sedang mengalami kesulitan dari segi pasar, demand segala macam, of course kita bisa bantu mereka untuk menemukan marketnya gitu dan jalannya, including pivoting if it's necessary.
If it's necessary.
Yeah, if it's necessary.
Wow, so I mean it's interesting from a banker's point of view gitu, karena you hold the people's money gitu, maksudnya people are saving up gitu. Most of them are at this situation assuming gitu they're not spending. Is that good or bad for a banker? For a bank, I guess.
For bank ya. Kalau kita kan sebenarnya fungsinya intermediary ya. Jadi people save their money with us, kemudian kita salurkan ke pembiayaan kan gitu.
Betul.
Dan pada saat kita menyalurkan ke pembiayaan, otomatis bisnis harus jalan dong. Kalau bisnis nggak jalan, kita gimana mau financing gitu.
That's right.
So in a way memang konsumsi harus jalan. Kalau konsumsinya jalan tentu ya itu tadi siklusnya jalan dan ekonominya jalan. So the fact that it is slowing down mungkin tidak sama dengan dahulu, tapi like I said gitu, kita tidak melihat ini sebagai the end gitu. Justru like I said, the challenge.
Yeah, challenge. It's interesting to start off this way karena for me to see someone that's been in the same company selama 23 tahun is inspiring.
It is nowadays ya.
Yeah, especially nowadays gitu, where people
jump all the time.
Lucky enough to have somebody for 23 months. Iya kan?
Yes.
Now
or even 23 weeks for that matter.
Or for an intern 23 days gitu. And I want to talk about that gitu. And you say kalau tidak senang nggak mungkin ada di sana 23 tahun. And it's ironic to be happy working around finance karena it always goes ups and downs and it's not always great gitu. How do you see something so fun in a static job? Because I see that my job is fun because I get to talk to new people all the time gitu. For something so static, how do you make fun of that time?
Untuk orang yang melihat dari luar kita terlihat static ya. Padahal the banking industry itself is very dynamic. Karena setiap hari kita ketemu dengan orang yang berbeda. Kita ketemu different kinds of businessmen. Kita belajar filosofi bisnisnya seperti apa, gimana dia dulu membangun perusahaannya dari nol.
That's interesting.
Gimana dia navigating the crisis, gimana and I talk to them day by day gitu. Dan kita jadi tahu waktu tahun segini penjualan sepeda motor di Indonesia itu sekian juta unit gitu. Kemudian pas COVID turun sekian, tapi kemudian naik lagi. So we know the trends gitu kan. Dan I learn a lot from them. So what I can say adalah bekerja di bank membuat aku jadi seseorang yang pembelajar sejati. You never stop learning. Karena every single day there's always a new challenge to conquer.
Yeah.
There's always new people to talk to. And then there's always new minds to grasp on gitu. Itu yang aku temukan ya. Bukan hanya dari nasabah tapi juga dari mentor-mentorku di kantor gitu. I've been so lucky karena aku udah pernah dimentorin senior bankers like Pak Agus Marto, Pak Royke Tumilaar, Pak Sunarso yang sekarang Ibu Alexandra Askandar gitu kan. They're brilliant people. Dan yang aku temukan dari mereka semua adalah the humility to know bahwa the more you know, the less you know.
That's right. I said that a couple of weeks ago.
That's why it was difficult for me to answer your question because the more I know, the less I know.
Plus, it was my first question, jadi went a little bit all.
Yeah.
Though I was just saying gitu bahwa semakin kita mengetahui, harusnya semakin kita bertanya dan semakin ada rasa penasaran.
Betul. Dan semakin banyak kita timbul questions kan di dalam kepala.
Yes.
You question everything.
Yes, and in a room of smart people, sometimes the questions are stupid.
Exactly. The simplest question is sometimes come from the smartest people gitu.
That's
kan.
right.
Jadi itu yang aku senang dan bahwa particularly di Bank Mandiri, aku kan di Bank Mandiri ya gitu. Aku masuk Bank Mandiri tuh sejak tamat kuliah. Jadi begitu tamat tes langsung masuk gitu kan. I've never worked anywhere else kecuali apprenticeship waktu zaman kuliah ya gitu. So yang aku lihat adalah ia memberi ruang buat aku untuk tumbuh, belajar dan juga mengembrace aku dan talentku gitu. Bank Mandiri itu sangat mendukung aku sebagai penulis loh karena menurut mereka bahwa seorang pegawai yang happy dan talentnya didukung pasti akan produce more at work gitu kan dan dia bisa contribute more. Right now salah satu tugas utamaku di kantor adalah to translate numbers into stories.
What do you mean? By the way, this is not sponsored by Bank Mandiri.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it. People skip. Yeah. It's a no, it's not. Aku juga seorang nasabah di Bank Mandiri dari.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
jadi lebih ke misalnya gini.
Kita so what do you do?
Misalnya kita punya presentasi ya gitu. Katakanlah misalnya kredit commercial tumbuh 9% year on year gitu.
Oke.
Terus sementara di pasar misalnya tumbuh 7% year on year gitu. Maknanya apa? What does it mean for us? Gitu. Maknanya berarti satu, kita tumbuh di atas pasar. So it's good.
Yeah.
Berarti market share-nya naik dong gitu kan gitu. Aduh ngomongnya udah mulai teknik ya. Terus yang kedua gitu kan, does it mean that we can grow higher? Kalau market aja grow-nya segini kita udah di atas market, does it mean that we
There's
should
potential.
be happy? Gitu kan. Tapi yang kita gak lihat kan market kan the size of the pie kan gak sama kan.
Yeah.
They're growing.
Growth.
Gitu.
Yeah.
So if you stick to one growth kan, eventually people will gonna catch up with you gitu.
Yeah.
Jadi itu yang hal-hal kecil yang aku pelajari.
Wow.
To put apa namanya perspective on things gitu.
It's interesting. I wanna ask a follow-up question on that. How do you not give up? Karena this
is my job.
Yes, on your job.
Yes.
You're a brilliant writer. You're making money out of it. Mm-hmm. That's a good enough reason to stop. Then, funny enough, we were just joking about how the generation of today won't even last a couple of months.
Yes.
And the reasons to quit is not as strong as your reason to quit. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they don't like something that's 9 to 5. Maybe they don't like the location. Or maybe they like being home. So I think it's really important to answer this question to inspire people why they shouldn't quit. So why don't you quit, man?
Okay. People ask me this all the time.
Really?
Yes. Mereka bilang, duit lo kan udah banyak dari nulis, yang ngapain sih masih pusing-pusing kerja kantor?
Itu jawabannya gampang sih. Kenapa minta kurang kalau bisa lebih?
Terus aku selalu bilang bahwa I find love in what I do.
Writing or banking?
both.
Got it.
Both gitu. Dan di banking yang aku ketemukan itu adalah gini, dari kecil aku tuh selalu suka untuk jadi orang pinter. Karena aku bilang bahwa looks fade, but looks fade obviously gitu. Karena
But
aging,
your brains don't.
But your brains don't gitu, unless you get dementia obviously. Gitu. Tapi you can always train your brain to absorb more things gitu.
Agree.
Dan yang aku rasakan selama aku di kantorku sebagai banker adalah they teach me to grow. They teach me to always see things as challenges instead of problems, like I said gitu.
Yeah.
They see me and they see me as someone who is potential for the company.
Yeah.
So they appreciate me, mereka embrace aku gitu kan. Tadi sebelum kesini aku barusan take konten Hari Buku untuk Bank Mandiri loh.
Wow.
Jadi they even celebrate
They
books
support,
gitu.
yeah.
We have libraries at the office gitu. So people are encouraged to read. Jadi buat aku ini adalah tempat di mana aku harus jadi orang pinter tiap hari, and I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid kalau aku berhenti jadi orang yang mencoba terus pinter tiap hari, karena I stop growing kan gitu.
How do you find joy?
Wow. Buat aku ini a bit philosophical ya gitu. Karena lately aku became a little bit more religious.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Which is fine ya obviously.
Which is about time.
Which is about time in this. Dan aku merasa bahwa usia itu adalah amanah dari Allah ya.
Yeah.
Gitu. Jadi kalau kita nggak pakai usia kita sebaik mungkin, kita menyanyiakan satu rezeki besar yang Dia kasih, yaitu umur.
Yeah.
Nggak semua orang punya waktu.
Betul.
Untuk berkarya, nggak semua orang dikasih talent buat berkarya, nggak semua orang punya kesempatan buat berkarya. Kalau seandainya aku tidak manfaatkan waktu, talent, kesempatan, dukungan orang-orang dengan baik, aku kufur nikmat.
Betul.
So that's how I see my life gitu. Bahwa aku dikasih kesempatan, so I should embrace it and do what I can do. I know I sound too serious sometimes, but
no, I agree. Bahwa you should find joy in the most little things in life.
Yes. And then be grateful just to be alive.
That's right.
Be grateful bahwa kau bisa bangun pagi, bisa kerja di pekerjaan yang kau cintai. And then when you come home, you have this little baby cats waiting for you.
Yeah.
And then after that, you have your dinner. And then you can write.
Yeah.
And all of those chaos in your mind, you can untangle them into words. Yang kemudian ketika terbit orang baca dan kemudian DM lo dan bilang, Kak Ika, I find joy in your writing. So my joy is actually loving my life and then loving the fact that I bring love buat orang lain juga gitu.
It's amazing.
Somehow gitu.
Let's go sideways a bit, and I want to tell you my story, Kak. For years, I've been doing this for 7-8 years now.
Oh, okay.
And I've talked to people for the past decade in my previous job and so on. And I never found the joy in reading people's comments.
Really?
How they are inspired, how grateful, how even some of them cried to me. I've never found the joy. Karena I've always seen it as it's a part of what I do, and that's I just don't find it pleasing for me. Until I realized bahwa this is actually one of the most fundamental reason why I'm doing this. Baru kerasa, wow, hangat sekali ya pujaan itu.
That you touch people's lives.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't think that was important until I really, really sit in and read one by one. Bahwa, wow, this is amazing gitu. And what I do is a weekly thing. And sometimes my conversations could die in a week gitu. Nobody could remember it. But a book is something else.
Yeah.
So how does it feel after 11 books? Correct me if I'm wrong. 14?
14
books.
11 novels.
11 novels.
4 in total. I never count like I said. Tapi tadi
diingetin.
baru dihitungin. Yeah.
And those compliments are daily.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
It feels surreal awalnya.
Yeah.
Karena Jujur waktu kecil kan aku suka banget baca ya. Suka banget baca karena it was a culture at home. Tuh, maksudku bapakku suka bercerita. He loves storytelling so much. And then my mom loves books, love novels. Jadi aku baca buku tuh as early as kindergarten.
Wow.
Gitu. Aku udah dekat dengan buku sejak TK. Kemudian I find that writers are magicians for me. Karena they could fly people anywhere without even
being there.
Needing a plane.
Yeah.
You just read words and you're there. Dan buat aku itu kayak magic gitu. So I want to be that magician. Maka aku mulai nulis dikit-dikit. Kemudian cuma di kertas HVS aja. Terus bapakku pulang kantor dia staples. So
menjadi
it became my book gitu. Dan kalau weekend, my candy store is Gramedia. My candy store is bookstore. I'm a nerd, I know.
Yeah.
But we didn't come from privileged family. So obviously we don't always buy books. So kadang-kadang tuh cuma Gramedia itu cuma lihat sambil disalawatin kapan bisa beli gitu kan. Oh ya nanti bapakku dapat uang lembur bisa beli satu.
Wow.
And I finished that book in an hour. Yang udah ditabung sebulan itu an hour selesai. And then I have to wait. So reading for me is a privilege. And it teaches me patience.
Wow.
Sehingga patience itu yang kemudian aku butuhkan pada saat aku menulis kan. Waktu nulis kan kita gak bisa satu malam jadi satu buku.
Pernah tapi?
Tidak pernah.
Oh tidak pernah.
Tidak pernah. Jadi bukuku tuh satu buku tuh jadinya 2-3 tahun baru jadi satu buku. So it's a marathon for me. And it's a passion to go from one page to another gitu. So in this very fast-paced world, I learn to live in patience gitu. Dan buat aku itu nggak akan bisa aku pelajari kalau aku nggak nulis kali ya.
That's right. That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
You wrote ketika SD adalah tentang anak kecil yang menarik harta karun
Iya.
ke rumah.
Iya.
And I want to go back. Apologies, but how many years ago was that? Berarti?
SD ya.
SD.
I'm now 47.
47.
So probably that 40 years ago.
40 years ago. Anak SD itu membawa harta karun ke rumah gitu melalui kesulitan and so on.
Yeah.
Now 40 years later, what was that girl bringing? Harta karun itu apa? Apakah 14 buku? Atau apakah harta karun itu berhasil sampai rumah sampai saat ini?
Waktu itu aku ceritain bahwa dia berusaha mencari kuncinya. Karena dia pengen tahu isinya apa kan gitu.
Yeah.
So dia nanya ini kuncinya ada nggak gitu. Dia nanya ini kuncinya ada nggak gitu kan. And then ketika dia buka, kan kita belum sampai nih ke dia buka ya gitu. But what I learned from writing those stories, because you asked that was the most brilliant question yang pernah ditanyakan orang kepadaku by the way, adalah the joy is not in finding what's inside those chests, but the process of finding the key. Karena in the process of finding the key, you meet people and you ask questions and you get answers. And you process that inside your head. And that's an adventure. Harta karunnya adalah the adventure that you go in finding those answers gitu. Kalau buat aku ya. Karena ketika dibuka mau isinya emas ini segala macam, you already have that precious experience of finding those answers.
Yeah.
That should be a book.
It already is. Have you found the key yet to open your chest?
Kurasa udah ya. Lately gitu.
Is it writing?
It is writing, yes. Dan juga satu hal itu adalah acceptance kali.
This is important, which really relates to your latest novel.
Iya, di Satin, sangat gitu.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about childhood?
Sure.
Before we talk about books
Yeah.
and Satin and its friends. Growing up I'm assuming berarti besar di keluarga yang berpendidikan sekali kalau misalnya dekat dengan buku.
Bapakku tidak lulus kuliah.
Wow.
Karena ekonomi keluarga. Jadi dia anak ke-18 dari 18 bersaudara.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
I've never heard of 18.
Aku keluarga Melayu Delhi. Melayu Delhi itu kan sangat feodal dan anaknya banyak ya. Itu
18.
ya, itu satu kakek satu nenek loh.
I don't know if a woman's body can hold that many
My
babies.
grandma is a heroine to be honest gitu.
Wow.
Jadi bapakku anak ke-18 gitu kan.
What kind of sperm does your grandpa have? That's a whole different story.
I try not to ask that
Wow.
questions gitu. So waktu bapakku muda gitu, kedua kakaknya keluar kuliah kedokteran, dia kuliah teknik,
Ya.
kemudian masuk masa ujian nih, kakekku udah meninggal, jadi cuma my nenek gitu kan, aku manggilnya Ato gitu ya, orang Melayu panggilnya Ato. Terus kemudian Atoku bilang, Atoku itu orangnya Melayu Delhi kuno, tapi in terms of making decision sangat liberal.
Okay.
Everything is discussed on the table gitu. Jadi nggak pernah ngambil keputusan sendiri buat anaknya.
Sisi
Jadi
Belandanya di situ berarti.
sisi
ya?
Belandanya di situ.
Okay.
Jadi abis itu dia bilang sama anak-anaknya, aku cuma punya uang buat nguliahin 2 orang. One of you harus ngalah.
Of 18? Atau 2 kakaknya?
Yang 3
Tiga
yang
itu, oke.
bertiga gitu. Yang lain pada nggak kuliah loh. Gitu. Yang lain. Karena kan zaman dulu ya. Bapakku kan lahirnya tahun 46. It's zaman penjajah.
Of course.
So
Kampus nggak banyak ya.
waktu itu kan 2 kakaknya tuh cewek ya. Terus bapakku sendiri. Terus bapakku yang ngalah duluan. Dia bilang kan, aku laki-laki, aku bisa kerja jadi apapun kalaupun aku gak sarjana. Tapi kakak-kakakku harus jadi dokter. Aku nangis loh. Because that was pengorbanan yang aku pelajari dari dia ya gitu. Bahwa you have to understand the greater good of your life.
Risk taking in a very young age.
Yes.
That's inspiring.
Ya. Dan kemudian dia jadinya kerjanya biasa kan. Dia bergabung di satu perusahaan cukup besar, Indonesia Jepang. Tapi di situ dia cuma bisa jadi driver. Sampai pensiunnya pun jabatannya itu adalah kepala driver.
Wow.
Tapi dia bisa ngirim anaknya SMA ke Amerika loh. Aku SMA di Amerika. On IFS. Exchange. Karena dia bilang bahwa I don't want my kids to grow up like me. Aku gak mau anakku itu mimpinya terbatas karena ekonomi. So we will find a way for you gitu.
Sorry, are you the only
gitu.
child?
Enggak, berdua, ada adik cowok.
Wow. He fought for 2 berarti.
He fought for 2.
Oof.
Jadi aku bisa dia kirim SMA, aku exchange ke Amerika. Kuliah aku exchange ke Australia. Full scholarship. With that fighting spirit. Karena dia pernah make a sacrifice for me.
Ya.
Jadi aku pikir sacrifice itu harus bisa aku
Jalani dengan benar.
gitu. Kalau enggak, gila bokap gue udah berkorban.
Iya.
Kan begitu ya. ini aku nggak pernah ceritain di publik by the way. So,
No, I'm happy enough that you're and you should. I believe that you should.
Yeah.
Because I don't think seeing a kid that is proud of their parents is one of the greatest blessing of a parent.
Yes.
Iya kan?
Yes.
Karena I don't have a kid, tapi for him to be happy that I've done something for him, that would be great. That would be amazing gitu.
Yeah.
So, growing up in a multicultural cities berarti kan?
Iya.
Tapi selalu pulang ke daerah mana berarti?
Aku tinggalnya di Medan. Medan ya. Kalau dulu gedenya sih ada di daerah namanya Tanjung Gading.
Okay.
Itu is where my dad works. My dad works at Inalum. Itu about 2 hours from Medan gitu. Jadi kalau weekdays kita di sana, weekend pulang ke rumah Ato gitu kan. And that's my childhood gitu.
Yeah.
Dan yang menyenangkan dari my dad adalah dia selalu berusaha bikin hidupku itu penuh dengan experience.
Oh, interesting. So on trips,
Things that don't need money. Contoh, kalau hari Sabtu tuh dia bawa ke pelabuhan kantornya, and we will watch the ocean, and that's it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Cuma cerita bahwa kalau di laut tuh Kak ada lumba-lumba, ada ini, cuma gitu doang.
Finding joy
Tapi
in the little things.
imagine aku 40 tahun sekian dan masih ingat
Yeah.
that experience gitu.
Yeah.
So I think that is what Mungkin yang diperlukan anak-anak sebenarnya bukan benda ya, tapi
Melatih
experience
imajinasi.
kali ya. Yeah, and imagination.
And your mother, which is here.
Iya
by
ya,
the way.
my mom is here.
Yeah.
My mom juga tidak kuliah karena dia pengen kuliah bahasa Inggris tapi tidak diizinin sama orang tuanya.
Wow.
Jadi dia ends up working as insurance agent. Juga sempat jadi tulang punggung keluarga besarnya. So, I grew up dari two fighters.
Beban sekali ya menjadi Kaika ya.
harus melewati itu kan.
Bukan hanya melewati itu, cuma beban untuk menjadi lebih. Karena look, let's be honest, every parent's dream is to have a kid that's better than them.
Iya, iya.
Tapi memiliki figur yang sudah sebagus itu, you get what I mean?
You think? Makanya kalau ditanya idola aku siapa ya my parents gitu dan maksud aku sampai kapanpun gitu kan. Mau aku quote unquote sehebat apapun, filmku udah berapa, I stood up at many stages, I could never be like as great as them gitu. Karena pengorbanan yang mereka lakukan, they did it in silence, right? Tidak dengan audience. Sementara prestasi yang aku lakukan adalah with the cheering of an audience. That's different, man. Gitu.
Hey guys, sorry for interrupting the podcast. We have a special announcement. Kita sedang berkolaborasi dengan Avalanche, sebuah brand parfum, dan kita membuat 2 varian. Ada the host dan juga the interview room. Both smells really good, dan it represents the podcast itself. If you're a fan and if you're a friend, jangan lupa langsung beli. Link in the description. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Thank you.
Dalam sekali obrolan kita ya.
But it shows bahwa no offense to anyone watching. Tapi the glams, the cameras, the applause means nothing if it's compared to the love and feeling of proud from our loved ones.
Yeah, sure. That's why di setiap gala premier aku bawa orang tuaku.
Agar mereka merasakan itu juga ya?
Yes.
Got it.
So they feel it. They feel the glory that they had to give up. When they were Mereka kan harus give up mimpinya kan.
And it's not about you at the end of the day.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Jadi kalau misalnya gala premier, mereka duduk paling depan, they see the audience cheering, mereka happy. And then my dad would cry.
Wow.
Dia nangis gitu.
Wow.
Terus kalau misalnya book launching aku ajak juga. Kalau ketemu pembaca aku ajak. Dan yang aku appreciate dari pembacaku adalah pernah tuh pulang dari gala premier ya. Aku kan pisah lift ya karena aku masih sibuk press con ini segala macam gitu. Terus my parents sama penerbitku satu lift sama pembaca. Terus pembacaku ngomong ke bapak ibuku, "Ibu makasih ya udah melahirkan Kak Ika." Imagine your parents diterima kasihin sama pembaca seperti itu gitu. And my mom said that to me dengan rasa bangga gitu. Tadi ada loh pembacamu yang ngomong terima kasih sama mama udah ngelahirin Ika katanya. Aku yang wow. Someone is thankful bahwa aku lahir di dunia.
Yeah, that's something. I can imagine bahwa seorang penulis dengan begitu banyak background di karakter gitu, subjek-subjeknya sangat unik. Which you also started writing about, you know, a banker as well kan? Karena there was no novel about a banker.
Yeah.
And I could understand you have lots of imaginations. My question is, I want to get to this part. How do you have so many imaginations about love?
Iya ya, kalau dipikir ya, I'm single. kan katanya those who can't do teach, man.
Of course, yeah. Because you know too much.
Jadi,
where does the love reference come from?
I think I've always been a romantic person inside. Karena I see like I grew up in a loving family.
Yeah.
Terus kemudian juga I grew up with Hollywood rom-coms.
Yeah.
Very close to my heart gitu. I grew up with novels gitu kan. Jadi aku selalu merasa bahwa the most universal thing in the world is not money, it's love. Karena semua orang ingin dicintai. Tapi belum tentu semua orang menganggap uang penting loh.
Ya.
Tapi semua orang sebenarnya perlu dicintai gitu dan butuh dicintai gitu. Jadi aku merasa bahwa aku pengen menulis cerita cinta karena pertama, we all need that butterfly in our stomach. Even when we're not in love in real life gitu.
Yeah.
But we want to know that feeling
Yeah.
supaya apa tahu nggak? Supaya kita punya hope.
That's true.
Karena those love
Yeah.
fuels us with hope about our life gitu.
Yeah.
Kita jadi punya harapan bahwa oh besok aku bisa bahagia loh karena begini. Oh besok aku bisa bahagia kayak begini gitu. Makanya it's always about love. Dan kemudian juga kalau bicara film ya gitu. Dunia film Indonesia kan jarang bicara cinta ya belakangan gitu. Yang rame di market itu kan horor, comedy. We rarely see modern romance in Indonesian film industry.
Is that
gitu.
true?
Ya kan?
Well,
Gitu.
I'll correct this. The only love themed films are based off your books.
Probably.
Iya kan?
Probably. Iya. Bisa dibilang begitu.
Heartbreak, ya kan?
Heartbreak Motel,
Terakhir,
The Architecture of Love.
course, terus,
Iya gitu.
Yeah.
Ya gitu. Jadi
Critical 11.
Critical 11 gitu. Dan aku belum menemukan modern romance lagi loh di film Indonesia.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's be honest gitu kan. Kalau beberapa drama religi ada ya gitu.
Ya, Tayat Cinta, soal dari dulu itu.
Iya gitu. Tapi kalau misalnya yang modern romance enggak gitu. Dan dulu waktu aku grew up with those Hollywood rom-coms, Meg Ryan, Nora Ephron, Nancy Meyers gitu kan. Sandra Bullock, Reese Witherspoon, aku merasa bahwa hidupku penuh cinta sekali ya. And it's so cutesy feeling of
You're
being a girl gitu kan. Jadi aku pengen menularkan perasaan itu bahwa cinta itu menular dan begitu intoxicating loh. Even when you're not in love. But when you see people in love, kau ikut happy gitu. So itu yang aku pengen tampilkan di buku dan di film. Maybe it's a bit terlalu idealis ya.
No, I agree. Perasaan cinta itu menular.
Menular loh gitu. Kita ngelihat ada pasangan yang lagi senyum-senyum bareng di kafe aja kan kita kan gitu kan.
Yeah.
Gitu.
And that inspires you to write.
Yes. Dan aku see problems that revolve around us ya gitu. Kayak di A Very Happy Wedding itu yang novel pertamaku. Itu kan aku pengen mengangkat sebenarnya kehidupan perbankan ya. Tapi kalau dibicarain masalah pekerjaannya kan jadi non-fiksi gitu. So I need to put some love in there gitu. Permasalahannya apa? Pada waktu itu kan pegawai bank itu kalau misalnya sekantor kan gak boleh nikah.
Yeah.
Karena
Kalau
takut
pacaran
fraud.
boleh.
Pacaran boleh karena takut fraud kan.
Oh, is that the reason?
Iya. Kan mereka jadi bisa kongkak-likong istilahnya
wow.
gitu.
Yeah.
So we keep personal relationship.
Yang satu bagian investment lagi. Kalau
Iya
itu,
gitu kan gitu. So yang aku taruh di situ adalah what if ada 2 orang nih pegawai muda yang up and rising, sama-sama karirnya bagus, tapi cinta lokasi ya, jatuh cinta karena sekantor, terus mau nikah, terus siapa dong yang ngalah?
Yeah.
Siapa yang ngalah resign gitu. Dan itu terjadi di sahabatku gitu.
Oh.
Terjadi di sahabatku karena gak ada yang mau ngalah resign, mereka gak jadi nikah, putus.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
Karena yang satu udah mau ngalah tapi orang tuanya bilang gue gak nyekolahin anak gue sampai tinggi-tinggi cuma buat resign demi kawin sama lo gitu.
Well, money overpowers love.
Ya
ada
kan?
ternyata
gitu,
ya.
Ada gitu kan. Dan kita punya ambitions juga kan gitu. Jadi buat aku itu topik yang menarik dan waktu aku tulis ya udah aku tulis aja apa adanya. Walaupun di bukuku aku bikin happy ending ya. Karena hidup udah banyak sad endingnya. So people need to be entertained gitu kan. Terus waktu itu keluar di toko buku nih. Akhirnya Gramedia yang selama ini majang buku lain yang dulu aku tabung habis-habisan, my book is there. So I go to the bookstore in Medan and take pictures a lot. Kayak orang norak lah, fotoan nama buku.
I would. Yeah.
Gitu. Terus here's the funny story. 1 bulan aku gak berani balik ke Gramedia. Tahu gak kenapa? Karena aku takut bukunya di take out karena gak laku.
Yang di top 10 dia itu.
Not even in top 10. Waktu itu kan masih yang new release kan.
Yeah, yang di
new
depan
release
yang
ya, masih di depan gitu. So along the time udah sebulan, one of my friends said, "Let's go to lunch." Abis lunch kan, let's stop by at Gramedia and see your books. No, aku bilang, no, let's do it. Kita pergi, udah nggak ada dong di rak new release. Aku yang hatiku mencelos kan, yang oh that's it kid, 1 month is up gitu. Terus dia jalan lagi temanku ini, kak udah pindah ke sini gitu. Pindahnya ke rak bestseller dong. I was like, no way, is this even true? And I start getting emails dari sesama pegawai bank yang bilang, Kak Ika akhirnya ada yang menceritakan kisah hidupku. Yes, gitu.
Wow.
So you never know, man. Sometimes you just write for fun and then.
Yeah, we were just talking about Reza,
Yeah.
Reza Rahadian gitu. How very personal.
The story is kan.
Each and every thank yous is so personal. I can't imagine how people would relate, but they would still relate.
Yes,
Because that's the magic of writing and that's the magic of reading.
right.
Before we talk about your books, let's talk about the magic of reading. I see the joy in reading ever since I was a kid. Karena it took me away from reality. And I don't see that anymore dari orang-orang.
Yeah.
I don't see that people find the joy in reading anymore. What's wrong?
I still find the joy in reading, so it's difficult for me to answer. But I guess
But you understand and you validate that as well, dong.
I do. Aku rasa permasalahan sederhana. We are used to instant gratification.
Got it.
Reading is not instant gratification. You need patience to enjoy.
Yeah.
Kan, harus sabar kan. Halaman demi halaman baru ketemu. Oh twistnya di sini.
Yeah.
Oh plotnya majunya ke sini sampai ketemu ending gitu kan. Our generation is used to scrolling.
Yeah.
They read the whole story in one tweet and that's it. Dan kesabaran itu yang kurang kayaknya ya gitu. Bahwa kita terbiasa yang instan-instan tadi, jadi nggak biasa menikmati sesuatu yang butuh proses gitu.
Ya.
Padahal aku dulu merasakan banget loh, dari pagi sampai malam baca Gone Girl yang setebal gini nggak lepas.
Yeah.
Itu the joy. So if you guys don't like reading, you're missing out, man.
Yeah, and I think that's one way to do it gitu ya.
Yeah.
Bikin orang FOMO ya, bukan memaksa. Because I was forced when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't enjoy it until I grew up.
Oh, okay.
Kalau misalnya dibikin nunggu kayak Ika gitu, kayak sebulan lagi baru dapat buku, I think I would find the joy.
Probably ya. Karena it is something that you look forward to. Yeah.
Betul. So I think it's one way to ask to gain more readers is to make them
Wait.
Make
Yes.
them fear that they're missing out on something mungkin ya. And that's probably the beauty of it. Anyway, so you wrote about the banker and then you wrote about a couple of more characters yang out of the box juga.
Yeah.
And you said bahwa you've worked in the same company for 23 years.
And I've been in the same publisher for 18 years. So
Yeah, which is Gramedia. Dan lucunya adalah you've always wanted to be with Gramedia dulu kan?
yeah.
Dulu pernah nanya gimana ya caranya gitu.
Jadi dulu aku pernah ngirim naskah pertama ke satu penerbit lainnya. Gitu. Karena aku nggak percaya bahwa Gramedia would take me. Aku siapa
Dulu
sih?
sombong ya?
Bukan, maksudnya aku siapa sih? Cuma orang biasa, anak Medan, anak daerah. I know nobody. Dulu kita nggak punya socials kan, so you don't have crowd gitu. Jadi aku kirim ke penerbit yang lebih kecil, terus ditolak dong. Ditolak. They have a checkbox untuk semua naskah yang bisa lulus dan semuanya aku no. Aku terima suratnya. I was like, this is what rejection feels like. I've never been rejected my whole life. Karena waktu ngelamar kerja aja langsung diterima kan gitu. Terus waktu itu aku mendendam kan gitu. Penerbit paling besar kan Gramedia Pustaka Utama kan. You see one day you're gonna regret the day you reject me, man.
Sure.
Karena aku akan nerbitin di sana gitu. But aku nggak cuma bilang kayak begitu. I wrote another book. Karena buku pertama kan sebenarnya underground kan, novel bahasa Inggris. Aku kirim dalam bentuk bahasa Inggris, susah dong marketnya gitu. So I think, aku mungkin harus grounded my approach gitu. Jadi aku nulis A Very Happy Wedding yang lebih lovey-dovey, gampang diterima. So
dalam bahasa Indonesia yang ini.
Dalam bahasa Indonesia. And I start to learn about the market also kan. Oh market sukanya begini gitu kan. Tapi tanpa losing my idealism dan my forte ya gitu. Terus aku tulis dan ternyata kena kan gitu. Dan aku menikmati menulisnya itu gitu. Oh ternyata, dan aku kirim ke Gramedia dalam jangka waktu 3 bulan aku ditelepon dan bilang, Ika novel kamu kita terbitin ya gitu. I was like, wah akhirnya. And I was like, you lose sucker. Itu gak usah disebut penerbitnya. Tapi maksud aku sometimes keinginan untuk balas dendam itu bisa
menjadi motivasi untuk melakukan sesuatu yang besar.
In a positive way ya.
Of course.
Gitu.
Wow. Then you've been with them for 18 years now.
18 years.
Can you remember the day it was first launched?
It was 7 Oktober 2007.
How did it feel?
Crazy. Crazy. You know the crazy thing about this, aku kan tinggal di Medan.
Yeah.
Jadi kalau mau book launching kan ke Jakarta. Waktu itu masih bokeh ya. Masih di awal karir. Cuma sanggup nginep di hotel kecil yang budget, yang kamarnya pas-pasan gitu.
Di mana?
Kalau dulu namanya Formula One yang di Menteng.
Yeah.
Sekarang udah jadi Ibis Budget kan.
Okay.
The room is so small, lebih kecil dari kamar kosan kan gitu. Tapi you know what? The room felt huge karena all of my best friends packed in that room.
Wow, that's
And we
amazing.
celebrate setelah kita book launching gitu. In that moment, kita di situ sampai kemudian waktu Critical 11, kita celebrate. Kalau setiap abis book launching kan selalu ada after party ya, just me and my friends. Dari that small room sampai di Kraton at the Plaza. Imagine kan.
Areanya sih sama ya.
Areanya sama, tapi ininya beda kan gitu. And we pack in the small room. Beberapa udah punya anak, udah bawa anaknya ke situ.
With the same people.
With the same people. And you see that, wow, hidup ternyata bisa membawa kita ke tempat yang berbeda, tapi tetap didampingi dengan orang yang sama gitu.
That's an amazing
Who
feeling.
believe in us from day one gitu.
Kak, I want to ask, what was your dream when you were asked ketika kecil? Cita-citanya apa?
Diplomat.
Really?
Yes.
Karena jalan-jalan atau karena ngurusin negara?
As simple as karena bisa jalan-jalan ke luar negeri, udah that's it.
Ya.
Kan gak pernah liburan aku waktu kecil, gak punya duit. Jadi pengen jalan-jalan ke luar negeri. Tapi waktu masuk UMPTN, waktu tahun umurnya ya.
Udah gak ada.
Iya. Pilihan pertamaku tuh hubungan internasional UI.
Ya.
Gitu. Pilihan kedua tuh arsitektur ITB. Kenapa? Karena aku juga suka gambar. My dad loves drawing, jadi menular ke aku gitu. Terus pilihan ketiga nih, safe choice, ekonomi USU. Itu dari my dad, dia bilang udahlah kita safe choice, ekonomi aja. Soalnya in whatever economy is, orang ekonomi akan terus hidup gitu. Terus yang pilihan pertama gak lulus, pilihan kedua gak lulus, ekonomi lulus. Tapi ini ada cerita lagi, aku punya backup plan waktu itu adalah arsitektur Unpar. Gitu. Aku tes. Dan itu waktu aku ujian menggambar, itu yang ngawas udah bilang welcome to Unpar, you're gonna get it. Dan aku masuk. Tapi kemudian USU masuk kan, lulus gitu kan. Waktu itu aku ujiannya di Bandung karena aku mau ngejar itu ya gitu. Terus kemudian bapakku nelpon gitu. Dan bilang bahwa Ika yang di USU kan lulus ya. Kamu pulang aja boleh gak? Gak usah kuliah di Unpar. Terus aku bilang kenapa gitu. Karena kalau misalnya Ika kuliah di Unpar.
Jauh.
Bukan jauh. Bapakku waktu itu udah mau pensiun. Dan dia gak yakin bahwa dia bisa biayai aku dan adikku kuliah. Unpar is expensive kan gitu. Jadi waktu itu I did the sacrifice that my dad did. Aku. Wow. Jadi aku bilang ya udah aku pulang ke Medan. Tapi dengan jiwa rebel, jadi semester pertama di ekonomi USU, aku sengaja bikin nilainya D semua aja. Sebagai pernyataannya, statement ya. Yeah. I don't
want to be here. Yeah.
I don't like accounting gitu. Tapi aku pikir that was childish of me. Terus kemudian dapat kesempatan untuk exchange ke Australia.
Dari USU?
No, dari pemerintah Australia.
Oke.
Jadi ada pengumumannya di kampus, terus aku ikutan gitu. Terus lulus. Tapi harus cuti kuliah. Aku cuti kuliah, aku exchange gitu. Exchange di sana kan apprenticeship ya, bukan kuliah. Jadi kita magang gitu. And kok keren ya jadi orang kantoran gitu. kerja itu keren ya.
Di mana ini waktu itu?
Di Canberra.
Oh no, I mean what company?
Namanya ACTEW. Jadi
investment company.
No, ACT Electricity.
Electricity. Okay.
Oh ya, gitu. Jadi PLN dan pumpnya
Yeah.
Australia gitu kan. Jadi waktu itu masukin data, terus kehidupan kantor tuh menyenangkan ya. Ada hari volley bareng, gitu kan. And I thought like, maybe I just write this out.
Yeah.
Supaya bisa cepat lulus. Jadi pulang dari sana, aku punya epiphany bahwa aku harus cepat lulus gitu. So next semester IP ku ya langsung hampir 4 gitu. Because udah mikir bahwa yang penting cepat lulus aja nih.
Yeah.
And aku lulus sekitar 4 tahun gitu. Dan udah langsung kerja di bank. Dan menikmati semuanya. So udah selesai right now gitu. So I see kuliah as stepping stone aja.
Of course. And I really appreciate, karena pasti banyak banget yang nanya, Kak, kok bisa sih menulis dan bekerja di waktu bersamaan gitu.
I know.
And I like your answer. You say if you really like it, you find the time.
You find the time.
Yeah.
It's the same with relationship.
Of course, yes.
If you really like someone, you find the time.
Yeah.
You're not busy for the people that you love. You're never busy.
Yeah.
Even when I'm in front of my boss, if my mom calls, I pick it up.
Yes.
That's me.
I agree.
Gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya aku bilang kayak, kalau ditanya kapan ya, aku nulisnya weekend. Sabtu Minggu, aku nulis. And I try not to push myself, karena buat aku ini joy kan. Gitu. So if I find joy in 3 hours, then 3 hours it is.
I agree.
Nggak harus target hari ini harus dapat sekian puluh halaman. I can't do that, man.
Yeah.
Soal di kantor udah ditarget.
Gak mau hidup pada ini di target 3. How do you find the time to fall in love, Kak?
To be honest, I haven't. Gitu, karena the more I know about love by writing about it, the more I find that it's complicated.
Can't imagine. Yeah.
It's complicated, and then it's probably, dan aku orang sangat logical ya, gitu. Dan logically aku mikir apakah ada laki-laki di luar sana yang bisa menerima bahwa aku sibuk di kantor, waktu luangnya dipakai nulis, di luarnya itu ada lagi urusan film, ada lagi urusan jadi pembicara, ada lagi urusan ini. Would I find somebody yang accept that? Dan would I find somebody yang I can carry conversation with?
Yeah.
Gitu.
You found the acceptance tapi.
Ya, acceptance bahwa it's not gonna be easy menemukan the one, tapi bukan it's impossible.
Yeah.
Just that it's not gonna be easy.
But based on your tweet bahwa you've accepted that this is how it's gonna end up maybe.
Maybe. Karena beberapa tanteku juga ends up sampai meninggalnya single.
And that's Satin.
That's Satin gitu. Walaupun dia make different choices ke akhirnya kan gitu. Di Satin kan karakternya 37 tahun, udah successful, felt like she's content with her life. Until one day dia ke bioskop, semua orang on dates, dia cuma sendirian dan dia felt lonely gitu kan. And it happened to me. Aku ke bioskop malam minggu, aku kan suka banget nonton ya. Jadi aku selalu nonton gitu, dan aku ke bioskop malam minggu untuk nonton The Architecture of Love, by the way.
Anybody notice you?
No, kan di Medan aku nggak ngetop.
Masa di kampung sendiri gak ngetop sih? Sorry.
Jadi malam minggu aku nonton.
Mereka kayak, she's our neighbor.
She's our neighbor. Jadi aku nonton sendirian, yang lain pada dating ya gitu. Dan waktu selesai nonton tuh yang buat aku waktu itu merasa terharu ya gitu. Masih ada orang-orang kan udah pada turun tuh ya kan, waktu musiknya mulai lampu nyala. Tapi ada satu pasangan yang cuma duduk.
Nunggu kredit.
Bukan nunggu kredit loh, tatap-tatapan. Looking at each other's eyes with love.
Yeah.
Dan aku lewat yang wow.
Or they're waiting for you to go so they can change that love into lust. Probably. Either those two.
Ya, tapi waktu itu aku menemukan bahwa loneliness is real ya gitu. I wish that was me yang sedang ditatap gitu.
Let's talk about that. I want to talk about loneliness.
Iya.
Karena I am happily married. We've been together for 9 years.
Nice.
No, 9 years relationship. We got married last year. Jadi this year or 10th. And even in a relationship, there can still be loneliness. And even there's one thing that got to me I think this is what real loneliness is. Not to sound braggy atau tapi to be known is very lonely. Karena there's a saying bahwa when you're at the very top, it means you're alone and the wind is stronger gitu.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being ikan atas gitu. Writing about love, successful writer, successful, I guess, films. Gitu. And you're also alone.
Dan tahu nggak yang ngeselinnya apa?
Apa?
Kan kalau aku misalnya bilang sama temen ya gitu kan, bahkan bilang sama kayak misalnya Arya Ibrahim manajernya Reza gitu kan. Kalau punya temen kenalin sama aku dong gitu. I wanna start looking for relationship gitu. Karena you have to look for it kan.
Yeah, it won't come. No.
It won't come tiba-tiba kan. Terus jawaban orang-orang tuh selalu, gue gimana nyari orang yang setara sama lo gitu. So you're right, it's lonely at the top karena orang pun langsung punya their own prejudice and assumption bahwa susah nih nyari matchnya udah. Padahal kan they don't know what I'm looking for, right?
Got it. Yeah.
At least us.
yeah. And how bad does it get, loneliness?
I think the worst for me, I'm pretty okay with it until a few months ago, my dad had a heart attack. Terus aku dan ibuku yang bawa beliau
I seen this, yeah.
ke rumah sakit. Di ruang UGD tuh, cuma ada bapakku yang lagi diperiksa, my mom, and then me. And I have to make all the decisions. I'm the primary decision maker in the family.
Yeah.
Dan waktu itu aku berharap, oh my God, kalau seandainya ada seseorang yang sama aku ya, mungkin this would be easier. Gitu. Ternyata enggak, I have to take that role. Apakah aku bisa? Bisa gitu. Tapi wouldn't it be nice if that's someone gitu. Itu momen paling loneliness buat aku loh. Kalau sehari-hari sih biasa aja karena I have friends.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can't imagine sih.
gitu.
And does it obviously mungkin jawabannya iya adalah is it easier or more difficult to find love at this age?
Of course more difficult. It is more difficult. Not in the sense bahwa secara statistik ya even.
Okay, interesting.
Tapi emotionally. You know where you are, right?
Yeah.
When you
really, I thought love doesn't fade away. I mean, the feeling is the same whether you're 20, 16, 50.
But you start to put too much logic into it.
I agree.
When you're younger.
When you're 16, you don't think about electricity bills.
Yeah. You don't think about electricity bills. You don't think about KPR, man.
Yeah.
You don't think about uang sekolah anak. You just see someone cute playing basketball and I want that guy. And that's it gitu.
Yeah.
Tapi at this age, yang aku pikirkan adalah
Complexity.
banyak kan. Complexity gitu. Apakah kalau masalah penghasilan setara udah lah ya
wait,
gitu.
sorry.
Itu bisa diukur.
I thought being settled makes it less complicated. Enggak ya?
No. It makes it more difficult. Karena at least I want somebody who I can carry conversation for hours with.
And they've had conversations for 50 years. Jadi they don't want to talk.
Iya, gitu.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Susah loh. Cari teman hidup loh. Teman hidup kan udah levelnya. Bukan cuma cinta-cintaan doang gitu.
May I ask whether if you've tried or not?
Yes.
So,
yes.
To what extent? I mean, like Tinder.
Oh enggak, I don't do online dating.
You don't do that?
Yeah, I don't do that. Karena people know me.
You're right. You're right. That's a stupid question. Yeah, you're right. This is a writer? I thought she knows a lot about love. She's looking for one here. I asked my best friend, Niza. We're having dinner tonight, in fact. And she's a fan of yours gitu. Dan semenjak kampus, she always talked about your books. We read it
okay.
together.
Say hi to her.
Of course,
Yeah.
I will. And I asked, why do you like her? And it's always interesting. She said, well, I don't like her. I like her writing. What do you mean? Why do you have two differences? Karena I don't know her as a person. Tapi I
That's
know
true.
how she writes.
That's honest.
Yeah, that's honest
Yeah,
kan. Okay, then let's talk about why you like her writing. Karena membuat sangat relate untuk, dia bilang, untuk perempuan yang nggak tahu rasanya cinta itu apa, yang sendiri dan I forgot the exact words that she said, tapi kayak strong, independent gitu. She feels validated when reading dan mudah ditulis, gitu. Mudah dibaca. Is it intentional bahwa your target market are lonely single ladies gitu atau?
My target aku waktu nulis nggak pernah mikirin target market, to be honest gitu. Tapi I just wanna tell stories. Dan stories that I wanna tell is about independent women making choices for themselves.
Yes.
Karena banyak perempuan di Indonesia yang merasa pilihannya terbatas karena gender mereka. Karena social construct yang ada gitu. So what I'm trying to represent in my book is these female figures who are making choices for themselves and are proud of it. Apakah pilihannya mengejar mimpi, apakah pilihannya menikah, apakah pilihannya bercerai, tapi dia making choices supaya happy.
That's right.
Seperti Satin ya. Satin kesepian dan dia make choices dengan datang ke dating agency yang profesional. Kemudian untuk mencari seseorang kan gitu.
Yeah.
Itu making choices gitu. Kemudian ketika dia bertemu dan dia merasa relationships is probably not for me.
Yeah.
Kita ngedate secara kontrak aja ya gitu. Contractual relationship. Karena menurut dia itu lebih reliable daripada love relationship.
Yeah.
Karena you will always find disappointments in love. Tapi kalau misalnya kau terikat kontrak, biasanya kan itu sama-sama gak akan one prestasi kan gitu. So she did that consciously. It's a weird choice.
Yeah.
Right?
But she made a decision.
But she made the decision gitu. She has the courage to know what makes her happy gitu. Itu spirit yang pengen aku tularkan ke pembaca-pembacaku bahwa you choose your own happiness.
Wow, that's amazing.
Decisions that you make will lead you into disappointment or happiness and that's your choice gitu. Gak ada yang sifatnya nasib tiba-tiba datang.
Ya.
Nggak
Semua
gitu.
ada sebab akibat.
Yeah. So itu sih.
Peran perempuan di dunia sastra Indonesia seperti apa, Kak?
Penulis kita banyak banget yang perempuan ya sebenarnya dibanding laki-laki kan,
Yeah,
gitu.
betul.
Dan dia dan semuanya telah memberikan suaranya tersendiri di dunia literasi gitu. Ratih Kumala punya caranya, Dewi Lestari punya caranya, aku punya caranya, Asma Nadia punya caranya,
Leila Chudori punya
ya,
caranya.
dan Leila Chudori punya caranya, dan Asma Nadia itu particularly amazing karena dia punya komunitas menulis ya. Di mana itu anggotanya udah ribuan dan menghasilkan begitu banyak penulis baru gitu. So dan Dewi Lestari terus juga jadi aktivis literasi gitu dan kami bareng-bareng itu baru aja beberapa bulan terakhir ini aktif koordinasi bareng Kementerian Ekonomi Kreatif gimana agar nasib penulis ini bisa harkat lebih sustain gitu kan. Jadi profesi yang seksi lah. Kalau sekarang kan bisa dibilang profesi yang hampir punah kan. Siapa sih anak kecil yang ditanya cita-citanya mau jadi penulis? Nggak ada. Orang aja kalau nanya sama aku kan, Kak Ika, should I be full-time writer? I said no.
Really? That's your answer?
Yes. It's not that menjanjikan man, unless you are best-selling writer.
Unless you're me gitu.
Gitu. Maksudku the market belum seramai di luar negeri ya gitu, di sini gitu. Jadi cuma aku pingin bahwa dunia ini tetap hidup kan, karena penulis itu penggerak ekosistem loh. Kalau nggak ada penulis, penerbit mau nerbitin apa? Percetakan mau nyetak apa kecuali undangan coba? Toko buku mau jualan apa? Nggak jualan buku lagi dong.
Subur jadi toko buah nanti.
Iya gitu. Gramedia jadi apa gitu. Jadi tapi peran penulis ini masih dianggap kecil oleh society, padahal dia juga punya socio-economic impact kan gitu. Penulis itu kan adalah perekam zaman.
Yeah, I agree.
We know what happens in the past because it's written.
Yes.
If it's not written, kita
It's not there.
tahu dari mana gitu.
Yep.
So gitu sih.
I have a last favor for you.
Yes.
Convince me to write the book.
Iya, tadi kita udah ngobrol ya.
Why should I start?
Why or where?
Why? Why should I do it?
Why? Okay. As a human being, we were born with so many questions that need answers, with so many chaos inside our mind, and we don't know how to pour it out.
Yeah.
Kita nggak tahu question itu mau ditanyakan kemana. Kita nggak tahu chaos itu mau diurai seperti apa. Jadi cara mencari jawaban itu adalah dengan menulis. Ketika pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang ada di kepala itu kita tuliskan prosesnya, mencari jawabannya. Ketika chaos yang ada di dalam kepala kita coba urai dengan tulisan, maka kita akan lebih mengenal diri sendiri. Dan ternyata, stance gua tentang isu ini ternyata ini ya.
Yeah.
Oh ternyata gua pandangannya seperti ini ya gitu. So writing for me is a way to dissect myself.
Interesting.
And it is also a way for you to dissect yourself and get to know yourself. I mean, at what age kita bisa kenal diri sendiri?
Yeah. Sold.
Sold, yeah.
Sold.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully. And I hope when it does get written, I'll be disturbing you with lots of questions.
I'll be glad.
Kaika, thank you so much for your time. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. It's been really fun. Ini salah satu interview yang paling menantang loh.
My pleasure. I hope that's good. Anyway, kalau gitu nama saya Iyas Lawrence.
Ika Natasha.
And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.